So I admit to not being a fantastic percussionist. I'm more of a drum set guy, but I do know a few tricks, and I'm going to share one in this video. It relates to playing tambourine. So maybe you've gotten this applies pretty regularly in musical theater. So maybe you're a musical theater percussionist and you've gotten a book like Mamma Mia that has a million tambourine notes, or Tarzan that has a lot of really fast tambourine playing. And if you approach that book with the traditional sort of Josie and the Pussycats kind of tambourine technique, you think, oh my God, this is going to kill me. I can't play 10,000 notes a night doing that. It hurts my hand. My forearm's going to be like Popeye before this show's over, and that's not a good look on anyone. So there is a trick to avoid that technique. So the first thing is, let's think about that technique that you're using. That's like moving your arm back and forth. I'm exaggerating it, but moving either from your wrist or from your elbow, swinging like a gate. The problem or the challenge with that technique is it's literally inertia, right? This tambourine starts in motion, it wants to stay in motion, then you have to move it back. And so you're fighting yourself at every note there. The trick, here it comes, it's pretty simple. Instead of moving your arm like a gate, it's to move your wrist like you're turning a doorknob. So the motion is more like that. Should relate to like a timpani stroke too, so it's pretty easy for drummers to get the hang of. But the advantage of doing this is it doesn't have the same level of inertia. You can play with a big heavy tambourine like this, which is more authentic for some of those older songs, and still play all night. So that's step one of this trick. And again, the other technique is one that church ladies use, because it's exciting and it's loud, and it's also sort of the foundation of what Jack Ashford did on the Motown songs, and that is to incorporate your weak hand, or in my case my left hand, or the opposite hand. And the motion, it's still that turning your wrist, but you do the opposite motion with the other hand, kind of like brushing crumbs off of your hand. And when you apply that to the tambourine, slowly it looks like at tempo, it's more like and I don't know if you can hear it on my crappy cell phone microphone, but in the room I hear a lot more of the tambourine head sound, and that gives it a beefier, throatier, meaty sound, which in terms of pitch and frequency, it occupies more space and it sits in the mix at a lower frequency than just the jingles on the tambourine, which I suspect is why Jack Ashford used that technique, because I'll bet there weren't a whole lot of mics in the studio, and he was probably playing into the drummer's hi-hat mic, and so this technique would be hard to differentiate on its own, hard to differentiate from the hi-hat sound, whereas that has a throatier sound that's going to sound different than the hi-hat. It's characteristic of all of those Motown hits, that tambourine sound. Finally, one last, real-world application. A while ago, I played Legally Blonde and used this technique exactly in that show, and it's because the finale has tambourine, but it's a pretty fast number, and so the tambourine is just written in eighth notes, and so it's like there's that tempo using the traditional technique, and it feels really weak to me. It feels wimpy, and no matter how big I make it, it still feels kind of jingly and wimpy, and it doesn't match the whole ensemble singing, the whole orchestra playing, and Legally Blonde modulates every 4 bars, so it's probably just modulated. And so using this technique, you can play a lot louder, get a lot fuller sound. So there you have it. Again, it's a pretty easy trick. Only takes about a week to master, but it has a whole lot of application. So good luck. Hope it helped you out.